Ah, man. Good morning, everybody. This is on me for being a little late, and Scott will join us momentarily. Nobody in yet, but that's okay. We'll go live and give it a second to breathe. My didn't set my phone, so here comes Scott right now. Good morning to Scott. He's jumping on in. And we are live and letting the chat get here for a second. We got a viewer in. All right. Well, let's get it started here. I know Scott's in. And good morning, everybody. Oh, there he is. Good morning, Scott. God bless you. Man, make sure your phone charger is plugged in is all I can say. God bless. Good to see everybody coming in here. Running a little bit late. I feel like this is, we're reaching the football priest level. We're starting the podcast 40 minutes late.
Yeah, 40 minutes late. It's just one of the hazards of having a 6 a.m. call time for you.
I know. Yeah.
And I noticed when I started, getting on Instagram and people doing screenshots and screen recordings and stuff, one of the things I noticed, I'm like, am I the only person that owns a phone charger? Like every single one of them, everybody's always in the red. They're at 2%. I'm like, man, my phone drops below 50%. And I start to get the shakes. So
Yeah.
I've probably ruined my battery from keeping it overcharged.
That's the thing.
Ethan hit me up this morning. He's like, no show today. I'm like, it beats me, man. I'm like, I wasn't ready to go solo, so I'm not starting one on my own today.
No. God bless you. Yeah, no, I have one of those cordless phone chargers, and sometimes for some reason it doesn't charge and it has like the lights go orange on it. And I woke up this morning, my cat was like licking my face. I'm like, oh, good morning. It's dark out. It's got to be like 4 a.m.
It's sunny.
No, it's darker than hell
dark,
here.
I know.
It's pitch black. And I look at my phone. It says it's 7:05. Like mother bleep. So here we are. Good morning, everybody. Let's say hello to some people coming in. We'll probably go until about 7:50 my time here today. We got Blade
Panic is as good as coffee for waking up, though.
Oh, I was just thinking. God, sprinted down here. The cat ran down and the dog ran down. Like, no, go back. But welcome in, everybody. Blave Bliss, viewer. Yes, viewer here. Good. We got Blave Bliss. I'll say and hope everyone's doing well. I am wide awake. Clutchmaster 59. Good morning to you. Hello. We got Dom in the house. Good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. We got Clutchmaster saying, I miss Melvin Gordon fumbling. They made the games interesting. I don't miss the toxicity that came after the fumbles. It got pretty ugly sometimes on Broncos social media with that. And, we can be upset about him, but it's still a person. Like it got a little bit weird sometimes.
Yeah, there are very few people on earth that I schadenfreude over where I enjoy it when they mess up.
Yeah.
Especially on my own team.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe you're just a sicko, Clutch, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Sicko is an endearing term in my world. If you follow the Sickos Committee on Twitter, they're like one of my favorite accounts. They're hilarious. Ronjo coming in here saying, good morning, guys. Glad you are here. Was having withdrawals. Well, Ronjo, make sure you guys comment more. If you guys are joining us here, you're probably wondering what's going on. I don't recognize the name Ronjo so much, so we appreciate you. No withdrawals. Greg Smith saying, good morning, Broncos for breakfast. I don't have coffee. Woke up 30 minutes late and thought I missed the podcast. No missing it. So, that's on me. God, I am awake. My heart is pounding.
I've just been planning Senior Bowl and Shrine Bowl trips. I'm like, all right, how bad do I want to hurt myself on this, trying to get to both games? Because the practice starts at Shrine Bowl on Saturday, Sunday, and in order to not be a complete zombie, I need to be in Mobile Monday night instead of trying to come in Tuesday morning. I'm like, all right. So I've just been planning that out. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get out there. I'm still going to get out there. It's a little bit of an expense, but worth it. Y'all are worth it.
I've never been to Vegas, so it's probably.
Vegas is an interesting town. It's a good. It's one of the best people watching towns in the world.
I believe that. I'm in Seattle. I see some people watching here too. Mark Schrader coming in. Good morning, guys. Good morning to you, Mark. Good to see you. We got Josh Simpson saying good morning. First time catching you live. See. If I would have been late, maybe Josh wouldn't, or if I'd have been on time, Josh maybe wouldn't have joined us. So good to see you. Hoping for the impossible when it comes to KC. Says, boy, you're late this morning, guys. Yep, but we're here. God bless. Better late than never. Broncos country, well, you're here. Love the show. Glad you came in. I will listen since I'm a fan since 68. This will get better. It has to get better, right? I'm afraid to talk in absolutes because we said it would get better last year, and God bless it didn't.
Thank you for the stars, Mark. We always appreciate the support coming in, kicking us off, even though we're late. Mark's right on time.
Nick is late. Nick's a wizard. He arrives precisely when he means to. You're a Lord of the Rings, big Lord of the Rings nerd, right?
Yeah.
They're putting the the Shire Bag End on Airbnb in New Zealand for like it's like only 3 days. I think I don't know what it's gonna be
Too
like. It's
tall for that.
yeah, it's true. But God,
I don't
it
want to.
looks
I don't want to
amazing.
crawl around. That's not for me.
Gonna be like Gandalf whapping his head on the banister there. Yeah, well, that's would be pretty cool. Not to give free publicity to them because I want to go. It's in New Zealand. I've never been. That's like a dream vacation. But let's get into it, guys. We have the Broncos with probably their second hardest game on the schedule of the season.
With
Unfortunately,
the
this
first
year,
being at Kansas City.
100%, 100%. With the Broncos going to Kansas City, Scott, is there any chance? A snowball chance in hell that the Broncos come out with a win in this one.
Of course. I mean, there's always a chance. It's the NFL. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars go into Buffalo or beat Buffalo either at home. I don't remember where it was last year.
Yeah.
But, I thought it was at Buffalo, and get that win. The margins are fairly thin. And the defense, when the defense shows up, they can keep you in any game. Now you just need a turnover here or there. And well, I say that, and then you get turnovers and you still don't cash in on them.
Yeah, I know.
Cortland Sutton looks like he's going to be out. That was the update from yesterday, among other things. There's so many injuries on this team. They're talking about Nathaniel Hackett gets up there and starts reading off the injury list of guys I've never heard of. I'm like, I don't remember Dakota Allen. I follow this team every day. I don't remember this guy. And he's hurt too? Who is he? So it's been comical at this point. And, I told y'all last year, and this isn't anything groundbreaking or earth-shattering or anything, but injuries pile up when your team is doing poorly too. This guy's out with a stomach bug. This guy's out, you're a little bit, you're on the injury list a week longer than maybe you would if you're going for a playoffs and somebody's breathing down your neck for your job.
Yeah.
One of the other things. So as the team fails, some of those little nicks and niggles become a little more serious as your team is out of the hunt. So
Yeah.
and that's part of it too.
Yeah, like I think there maybe would be a possibility that we would have seen Randy Gregory getting some snaps back by now, but like why rush it? It's more important to have him as healthy as possible next offseason than it is.
Yeah, and like Diamond Rattler says, I'm not talking about the big injuries. No, of course not. No, I'm faking an ACL. No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about some of the little things when he starts reading out. So and so's out with a thumb. This guy's out with an his ankle strain. This guy's we're still not sure about his hamstring. The little knocks, those little ones, not the big ones, and the injuries have contributed to the demise of this season for sure, but now the injury list is getting, it's getting ridiculous too. So it's not necessarily all with the bigger things. It's it's a combination of all of Diamond. You're right.
Yeah. We got Ron Hall Jr., RHJ coming in. Good morning. Good to see you. All caps. That's the energy I love since I don't have my coffee. Albert Knoppers, morning, y'all. Good to see you. Clee, Mr. Quippy here, always coming with a fun response, saying it's a rhetorical question. The Broncos can beat the Chiefs. It could happen. Michael Ronquillo coming in saying good morning, Nick and Scott on Broncos for breakfast. Go Broncos. We also got our guy Adam coming in saying what's up. Adams, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Juan Espinoza coming in saying good morning, gentlemen. There was a report from Mile High Sports saying the Broncos might consider making changes in the front office. Have you guys heard anything?
I did a whole show on it on Tuesday. Yep. Juan, if you want to catch up, the Building the Broncos episode was a lot about George Payton in the hot seat. So
yep.
It's cranking around. It's that he's not 100% safe either.
Yeah. And, just we have heard some stuff, but in general, I'll speak for myself here, more in the reaction analysis business versus the breaking news business, which is fine. But we do hear things, and it does sound like it's a possibility. I know people out there have said that it's not happening, but I think right now the general manager or the ownership group has enough tallies in the negative where they could consider it. They could do that if they wanted to, but I could see it go either way. My big concern, and I said it last night, I think George Payton is a very good drafter and talent evaluator. This year, obviously, the Benito pick has not been great. It's a little early to bury that one, but the biggest concern for me with bringing back George Payton in an ultimatum 2023 season is that does he act in a way that it hurts the team long-term for short-term gains. If you give him the understanding that you need to win 10 games or make the playoffs next year, maybe he's trading away 2024 draft capital to go get guys this year. Maybe he's giving contracts that are extremely backloaded that hurt you later on, because that means that you have more cap space to make the team better next year. And
you know who did that, Nick?
Thomas Dimitroff is going to be
Thomas Dimitroff.
Ring, ring, ring.
Atlanta Falcons. One more shot at it.
Yep.
And the Falcons have two of the three highest dead cap numbers in history. Yep. They've had to get rid of some guys and that's not even counting Deion Jones yet, would make the top 10 list.
So that's my big concern. I'm not advocating for George Paton to go out, but I think they need to have somebody in here who has stoppers, not training wheels, but like bumpers on his contracts and decisions. But like, okay, we're going to move up in the first round and we're going to give up our 2024 first. Do you see what it was like this year where we suck and we don't have our first round pick? That's not happening. We're keeping that pick because there's no way in heck we're giving away our number one overall. That could end up being Caleb Williams or some crap. Can you imagine if you gave up that pick and then ended up being number one overall? The Broncos country should burn down Dove Valley if that happened. Ethan, don't do that, folks. Ethan coming in saying, good afternoon, gents in Broncos country. Ethan, this is on me for being late. My phone was on the charger. Okay. God bless
He knows. I already blamed you.
Good. It's not even falling on a sword. Put the sword through me. But we got Justin coming in saying, good morning. No way do we beat the Chiefs. Somebody made a comment in here that the Colts beat the Chiefs. Anything can happen. And we'll get into it here. Dan Bailey.
Yeah, but the Colts beat the Broncos too.
They beat the entire AFC West. So it's pretty amazing. And they play the Chargers this week. So we'll see. Dan Bailey saying not happening. Yeah, probably not. Probably not. We got Patrick saying twice indecisively, Patrick, I missed your coffee this morning. It's on me, but we don't have it. Got Fallen Sloth coming in for just a bit to drop a like and give my support. God bless you, Fallen Sloth out there in Cincinnati. Hope the zoo stuff is going well. Love you guys and love the Broncos. No matter what, it's an abusive relationship at this point. They're gaslighting us. Maybe this time they'll get it. Diamond Rattler, I've seen enough, Peyton. He's not going to magically repair everything next year. He's not. They have an argument for it. I'm not going to argue with you either way. I feel like some people come in like, oh, you're an idiot for even considering that. Oh, of course he has to go. Well, the fact that there's two people saying that means that there's probably an argument both ways. But
it's never binary.
No, never. Alabama Chagrin beat the Chiefs. Hell, we can't beat the Raiders. But like Nick said last night, we do seem to get up and give the Chiefs all they can handle. No moral victories. Scott, if the Broncos lose to the Chiefs 10-9, would you consider that a moral victory?
No, there are no moral victories anymore.
Okay. I'd feel a little better.
It's a loss is a loss. You're so disappointed that the only thing you're so disappointed with the season that a close loss isn't going to be anything. It's not like you started the season with crappy expectations, with low expectations. You started the season by getting blown out and you're working your way up. You feel a progress where the check mark's going in the right direction, even where a close loss against a Super Bowl contender starts feeling like you're making progress. No, it wouldn't be a moral victory at all. It would still be another loss in a game that you probably could have won, which there have been several of them this year. Probably could have, should have, would have with, you don't even want to say competent offense, just bad offense. Instead of a historically awful offense, if you were just 25th in the NFL this year, just bad, you'd be in the playoff hunt. And you'd be talking about like a Baltimore Ravens team. This defense is good enough to make a run. Like you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that year that they pulled it off. So,
oh no,
Peter Middleton, we got you by accident. So another Nick, you're just, we have to get Peter Middleton as the chat scrolled. We blocked you blocking a spammer. So I'll go in and see if I can't fix that. I don't know that I can because it's on Facebook. So we'll get that fixed. Apologies, Peter.
Man, I swear to God, I clicked and then it said Peter. the girls won 18 whatever was on there 3 times.
But no, there's no moral victories anymore. Not with this team. Nope.
Yep. And Peter, we still have your comment in here, so that doesn't make any sense why he would be blocked if you can see it, because typically it takes the comment away. Anyway, we'll get to Peter.
Differently though.
That's true. But the girls one is gone. That was on YouTube. Anyway, Peter says Broncos only team not to win a division game. When will the Broncos win the next one? I think you have a chance week 18 this year with the Broncos versus the Chargers. This Chargers team is not very good. They're also extremely injured. They play not very good defense, and they pretty much just rely on Justin Herbert to play perfectly to win football games. which is there's no easy button for anything that they do. So Broncos, I think, definitely have a chance in that one. I'm not sure though. Dave Glassman, no Facebook or
I have a
YouTube.
question for you. This is
Okay.
when I walked into a room, I looked around. It's just in my nature to know all
Okay.
my surroundings. That's why I do scouting and stuff. But I always looked and said, okay, okay, that dude is 6'3", good looking. Okay, I'm not competing with him. Do you feel that way about the head coaching search with the LA Chargers and the Denver Broncos, who could both be looking for? It's like, all right, let's see who LA is going to go after because we need to go after the next guy for a head coaching search. Does that appear like a better job for you?
Oh, 100%. They have the quarterback. He's still on his rookie cost-controlled contract. I think the big difference is that you have far more wealthy owners, but the Broncos are in a bad situation because the Russell Wilson contract and the lack of capital. I mean, it's just, and the other team, a lot of people in the NFL, they know people like, oh, Justin Herbert isn't winning, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people much smarter than me in evaluating talent are be like, Justin Herbert's one of the top 3 most talented quarterbacks in football, and the scheme is not very good, and their defense can't stop the run to save their lives. They're not very well built.
And you're pretty sure they'll be in the market in the offseason.
Yes, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like Sean Payton's going to end up there 9 out of 10 times, or probability 9 out of 10. So that's definitely frustrating. Peter, I'm so sorry that I blocked you, buddy. I don't know what happened. We got Roy Osborne coming in saying, good morning, Nick and Scott. I'll spread some Christmas cheer. The Broncos beat the Chiefs. I'll pay the beer fund going forward. Okay, well, we'll take a coffee fund over here. Although, actually, we don't need it because Patrick supports us for that. So we'll take a super chat, Roy. We appreciate you so much. Eddie Vasquez, love you guys. Thanks for being here. We also got Ronjo coming in saying that usually have to listen at work, so can't always comment. Well, glad we could catch you. Says, thanks for the great show and great Broncos conversation. Daniel Bailey coming back in too, saying Russ's strengths used to be being able to win close games. Aside from that ability, has the winning mentality faltered too? I don't know. That's such a weird, psyche deep question that I can't even answer. Like, was he winning close games because the team was much better and they had a better belief in the system and better execution and discipline? Broncos are number 1 in the NFL and unforced errors on the offensive side of the ball in terms of penalties. Number 1 in false starts, procedural errors. They're also they're the worst special teams in football. It's hard to win close games when you're losing those margins every single bleeping week. The one week I can remember where they didn't lose the special teams matchup was the game they won against the 49ers. So it's pretty tough, but losing mentality, this is definitely much a losing mentality. And Peter saying Nick didn't block me on here.
Glad we made it back. The chat scrolls up, and every once in a while you'll go to block a spammer or someone coming in, and it scrolls up right when you do it. Kind of like when you're on a website and you want to click on the menu, and that's when the ad loads, and you click on the ad, kind of the same thing. So Peter, we'll get you fixed up on the Mile High Huddle page. I don't have access to that one. I can't unblock you on that, but I'll send it to Chad. He'll take care of it. Apologies, our friend. You obviously know that was a mistake. That wasn't directed at you.
Yeah, and you can see that the girls' account where singles near you is blocked as well, which is right around you. But let's get into it. So, Scott, what does a path to victory for the Broncos look like in this game? I know it's it has to be insanity, Andy Reid losing his mind and let's hand it off to Patrick Surtain here. I think that's going to be a great play.
It's the cliches, run the ball, keep it close, hopefully get a turnover, win the turnover battle. For all the talk about, you came in last night talking about the Cowboys and they put up 54 on the Colts. That was on the Colts offense. Aside from this team hasn't turned the ball over a lot. Going back to the winning mentality, the Broncos haven't turned it over a lot. They've just turned it over in crucial situations. They've been game-changing turnovers. So get one of those on your side and have the defense play inspired football. Guys, you guys are all playing for contracts and jobs next year too, especially all you new guys in the room on 1-year deals that we went through yesterday morning or Monday morning of the buy or sell on Tuesday morning, probably when it was on the free agents you want to keep. So, the offense, this is your chance. Rooks, maybe we can, as these guys come back, maybe you can play your way into a starting position on another team. There's a lot of incentive for these guys to go out there and play. Who wants a new contract? Dalton Risner, you want a new contract? Go earn it. Dre'Mont Jones, you want to be, a $20 million guy next year through a franchise tag or free agency? Here's your chance. Everybody's watching the Chiefs. So, Play inspired football, and you will keep the game close, and then get lucky.
I know he's been kind of pulling a Houdini, ghost act this season, especially since the first 3 weeks or so. But not having Cortland Sutton's going to hurt a lot. How healthy is Jerry Jeudy? How much can he make an impact? He's been one of the better wide receivers against man coverage this season in terms of yards per route run. I'd be more interested in his EPA per routes run or per coverage, but I digress. And the other one is I hope that you get some explosiveness in the run game. Latavius Murray, God bless him, that rugby style scrum run is not great. And also he's very much, I'm a scat back. No, you're not. You're 250 pounds as a running back. Like, push the pile. I'm hoping that Mike Boone comes back and provides the offense a little bit of a spark, not just in the rushing game, but in the dump off pass game. I mean, you mentioned it after the last game. How many times did the Broncos make a play in space when they actually did get the ball? Now, part of that is scheme. Part of that is Russell Wilson not doing the best in terms of ball placement and timing to maximize yak opportunities. But I think Mike Boone is the dark horse in this game. He needs to have the game of his career to have a chance.
Legendary Mike Boone.
Yeah, the one and only. And if you guys recall last year, I think he had a pretty darn good game at Kansas City with Monday Night Football last season. But he's definitely your most explosive back. And with him being that much closer to health, I guess you probably are never going to be 100% healthy after you've suffered an injury in the NFL in a season. But you want Mike Boone to have a great game. Special teams need to have the game of their life. We need, honestly, just fair catch the darn ball. Montreal, Washington, some of the fields that he makes is just hair pulling out stupid. Corliss Waitman have his best game since San Francisco. Biggest one for me, though, and it's unfair. It's an unfair ask, but it's an unfair ask to beat the Chiefs with this team right now. But defensive points. We've seen 0 points off of defense this year, a strip sack, a pick six, something, or let's say they return to the 5-yard line. I'd rather them hit pay dirt, but something like that. We haven't had that this season. This defense, as good as they've been, very low in the turnover aspect and 0 defensive points. Let's get some. This is the week to do it if you're going to have a chance in hell.
Mike Boone last year against the Chiefs had 35 yards on 4 carries. Nice average, but 35 yards, which made it the 4th highest total of his career. He also had 19 yards on 1 reception. So like he said, when he got a chance, he was making plays. But his 19 yards on 1 reception is the 2nd highest total of his career. So that was his 2nd best game from scrimmage at 54 yards. This Mike Boone stuff is driving me nuts. It really is.
He's not good, but nobody is good.
It's not. Maybe he is, but we talk about him on here like he's, oh man, when Mike Boone comes out, remember what he did? No, I don't remember what he did because he hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just frustrating. The revisionist history drives me nuts. When people talk about things as if they're a fact when they're wrong, it bothers me.
But he must have had some good carries and explosive plays in that one.
He had a good game one season in, let me see what it was. I had yards, that's receiving, 47 yards receiving. Yards, it was the game against, he had 17 carries for 148 yards. Was the one time he broke 56 yards. And he had 13 carries against the Chargers in 2019. So 30 carries for 200 yards is solid, and that turns him into a $5 million man with the Denver Broncos.
Hey, don't forget, he had 41-yard carry against the Jets. That was pretty sweet before he got hurt. He had a big explosive run against the Jets this year.
It must have been called back because he
wait a second. No, that was
up on his game log.
That was with the Vikings. I just looked up Mike Boone Jets because I knew he had a good game, and I saw 41-yard run. Never mind. Excuse me.
Oh, the long doesn't show up here. It must have been against his career numbers. His career total yards in order: 148 with Minnesota against the Bears, 56 against the Chargers. I want to say Clippers, and 38 Denver against Indiana, 35 Denver against Kansas City. So it may have been called back.
Yeah.
Made for a good highlight. I always said when I was putting highlights together, though, there are no penalties on highlights. No penalties on Naj either. Let's get to Naj here.
100%.
Hey, brothers, I'm excited at the prospect of Albert Okwuegbunam and Dulcich out there together. Feels like Johnson and Virgil have been non-existent. Is that them not getting open? Is it Russ not seeing them? Someone has to step up. frankly, Naj, it's them being, for the receivers anyway, it's them being young, rookie, not great wide receivers. Plain and simple. Jalen Virgil, despite the fact he played in a high passing offense, had like 30 catches in his career at App State. He wasn't a great receiver. He's a good kickoff man. He's a track guy playing football. Super fast. Might be the fastest guy in the league. That's about it, though. Brandon Johnson, wasn't Brandon Johnson undrafted free agent?
Yep.
You know,
University
coming in
of,
out of UCF or somewhere like that. You know, he was a nobody.
Yeah.
These are practice squad guys, Naj. Albert Okwuegbunam has been maybe my most disappointing player of this season.
I mean, Russell Wilson.
Yes. Yeah. As far as guys that we had seen last year, that we're going to step up, not a regression. I was hoping that Okwuegbunam was going to have a big step up, and he can't even get on the field. So how excited are we to see him out there with Russell Wilson historically not using the tight end that much? Dulcich is seeing the ball as in a wide receiver position, kind of out of the slot. And Hackett talked about Okwuegbunam being that big wide receiver also. So you're not necessarily going to see him as a tight end, but as a sub 4.5 guy who's 6'5" and should be able to just throw the ball up for him. Throw him open. So yes, Naj, I'm interested to see him too, because we haven't seen him all freaking year.
Yeah. Besides week 1, he had a good first down catch. I remember seeing that. Kevin 7 coming in, 499 super, saying, hey guys, would it be dumb to go multiple offensive line prospects in the draft? Low key need 4 out of 5 positions, maybe a couple wide receivers as well. The issue is after your first 3 picks in this, you are essentially, like maybe the guy makes the roster or not. I guess you could argue maybe the early picks in the 4th round as well. But I think the line of demarcation that a lot of teams view is like the 120th pick. In any given class, you should be able to find contributors in the top 120 picks. Obviously, the probability goes down the further you get from number 1, and the value goes down. But as far as, 4 offensive linemen, well, you're already in the 4th round. You've used all your picks here. You also probably need running back. You probably need depth somewhere on the defense. You need, God knows, you need somebody who can contribute on special teams, for the love of God out there. Goodness gracious. But I think this is definitely a possibility. My big question about this, and it comes back to my point of like, okay, is if you give George Paton next season to make the playoffs or be competitive or not, what does that mean the draft looks like? If you're taking 4 out of 5 offensive linemen, those guys,
he's not saying 4 out of 5. He's saying there's a need for 4 out of 5 positions.
Yeah. Yes.
So would it make sense? The key here is, would it make sense to draft multiple offensive linemen?
Yes, of course. That said, if you are depending on your offensive line next year with, let's say, 2 rookie offensive linemen playing, there's a chance the offensive line is even worse next year than it was this year when people were relatively healthy. You don't know about rookies. Sometimes it takes time. Sometimes they fall flat on their face. Like, let's say you draft another Lloyd Cushenberry. Remember how bad Lloyd Cushenberry was his rookie year as a middle 3rd round pick? I mean, there's no guarantee there. And that's one reason I'm a little bit worried about Paton as well in this situation, is that maybe he doesn't take these positions that are much more developmental. If you are taking 2 or 3 offensive linemen, it's not about what their impact is on 2023. It's about what they're doing on your offensive line in 2025, like 2 years from now, especially for the non-first round pick. You go over and listen to Scott and I on the Falcons channel. It's year 4 of Caleb McGarry, and he was horrible his first 3 years. This year, he's one of the top right tackles in football. Offensive linemen, most of the time, take time. And George Paton doesn't have time. So it's a rough situation to be looking to build those developmental picks, especially when you are limited in the cap space department.
Kevin, I've said 6. So yes, I want 3 free agents and I want 3 draft picks. Yeah. I want 6 new bodies on the 90 to 100 when they come in and they bring them in for camp at least. And yes, so low key need 4 out of 5 positions. Yeah, left guard, center. I think you're good at right guard. Left tackle, how well does Garrett Bowles come back? He should be okay. That wasn't a knee. That would look like he was rolled up on. Was that a broken leg?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
So. Yeah.
I don't remember for sure, but it felt like that was a bone as opposed to a ligament injury, which it doesn't affect those guys as much. They wear their big knee braces anyway. But I expect him to come back. And you can get help in the middle rounds for your interior line, even at tackle. You know the highest graded rookie offensive lineman is right now?
Is it Abe Lucas?
It is not. It is Braxton Jones.
Oh, for the Bears. You know how much
on
I love Braxton
PFF, who
Jones.
is getting the opportunity, but he's playing really well, and I think he was a 5th-round pick.
He was Southern Utah. I mean, we mocked him constantly to the Broncos
Yeah,
with one of their
we
first
loved
round
him.
picks.
Long arms, bounce, loved him. He was a Senior Bowl guy. Bernard Raymond was taken in the 3rd round, I believe.
Yep.
Abraham Lucas was in the 3rd round. You like Zach Tom a lot, I think. I don't remember for
Yes.
sure, but I
He's been
mentioned 3 of
great.
the top 6, Braxton Jones, and I'm not sure where Jamari Sawyer went, so I didn't want to say him.
He went like the 6th round. He had like a knee issue or something where he
And he's
plummeted.
got 431 snaps this year. So you can get help. You can. We've picked guys out. If an idiot like me can pick them out, and guys that have gone in and started and succeeded, you can get help in the middle rounds. So Kevin, 6. I want 6. I want 3 free agents, and I want 3 draft picks on the offensive line.
Do you consider the potential of bringing Cameron Fleming back as a swing guy?
I have him
as
back
one
in a
of your,
heartbeat. He was
is that
he
one of
was
your
one of
free
our
agents?
keeps on the group at $1.2 million. He is a pending free agent. He has vastly overperformed what you're paying for him, and he is a good number 3 at any position.
Yeah,
Don't want him starting necessarily, but and he may have played his way into a higher contract. Someone may pay him 3 to 5, where he prices himself out of your price range for what you got out of him this year. But for the guys that we've seen roll in, I think he was a great number 3 tackle, number 3 guard.
Yep. I agree with you. He's been pretty good. It's been interesting the discussion around him. And talking about the offensive line, saw from Mike Kliss the other day talked about how the Broncos had approached both Dre'Mont Jones and Dalton Risner, talking about the offensive line, to sign a contract with the Broncos potentially. And then the negotiations were paused around the London game. And now we're kind of in limbo with those guys. But first, not in limbo with us. Phil McLaughlin saying, "Morning, Nick and Deacon Scott. Wow, first Broncos for breakfast for me." Is that true? I feel like you
I
always
know.
are hanging out.
I feel like you're in here all the time. But I mean, I know we see you every day, but
Yeah.
I'm in here at least once a day, usually twice a day. So
Yeah.
glad you're able to make it live. You're certainly a familiar face, regardless.
Yeah. God bless you, Phil. We appreciate you. But the transition there, talking about the offensive line, sounds like the Broncos, at least in earnest, approached Dalton Risner with a contract negotiation and didn't find common ground. Don't know if it's, the teams didn't agree. The ownership groups that put a kibosh on Peyton giving out contracts for now, given the Russell Wilson situation and his current status with the Broncos, something to consider. But any thoughts on that? So Dalton Risner, Scott, would you have paid Dalton Risner to bring him back?
Well, my thought on it first is you're on thin ice. General Manager George Payton, you're on thin ice. We're not letting you go and sign extensions right now because we're not sure you're going to be here. And we don't make you making those decisions. That is a huge flag going up that George Payton's on thin ice when you're not allowed to do your job. That's a big one. Would I have approached, again, rookie contract, at 3.5, I think that's probably too much, so you want to be a free, I'd Mike Boone him, or I'm sorry, Melvin Gordon him, or one of those guys. You want to hit free agency? Fine. We got a $2 million deal sitting here on the table for you if you want to come back, fight for a starting position. It's not a guaranteed, because frankly, you haven't been good enough. But here, I would let him test free agency, and I'd have a reserve contract type of money waiting for him in the background. But I would not approach him with an extension by any means right now.
And I think the market value on over the cap has him at a 3-year contract for $12 million, so about $4 million per year. So we'll see how that
They're not
plays
watching
out.
him. They're thinking, oh, he has started. This is what happens with a guy at this age who has this many starts, who is coming off this amount of money. Here is your typical next step.
Yeah.
No, not for me. No way.
Yeah. And we got DWI guy saying, let them walk. Now, in the Kliss article, it sounds like that Dre'Mont Jones is going to be back in Denver next year, regardless. The Broncos either work out a contract with him or he gets the almighty franchise tag. Now, what level of franchise tag do they place on him? I'm not sure. There's different. There's the exclusive. There's the non-exclusive. You can get picks back for him. I don't think anybody is going to sign Dre'Mont Jones off the non-exclusive franchise tag, which I think he might get 2 first-round picks or something for him. I mean, God, that's somebody wants to do that, then God bless. I think that's something if somebody's stupid enough to put that on like a Patrick Mahomes or something, then a team would jump on that. But so you could probably put the
Here's my pick.
non-exclusive. Yeah. I think you
Buffalo
probably the
Bills did that.
non-exclusive.
Here's 2 picks.
Yeah.
We'll flip him for more than that.
Yeah. 100%. Or heck, even like Trevor Lawrence right now. Like you'd give up 2 first-round picks for Trevor Lawrence. But even though he hasn't been amazing, it's still, you watch the tape, he's like, oh man, there's some greatness here. But I digress. Dre'Mont Jones
the
does.
team that was picking number 1 overall. He's not supposed to look all that great. He looks the part. The team is improving, but they were bad. They were really bad, and they've been really bad for a long time. Speaking of culture changes, I'm not going to, even as bad as Zach Wilson looked, I wasn't ready to say, okay, this guy's a bust. Now, after 2 years, no, I'm leaning that way hard.
Yeah.
Because again, for the reasons I saw, was what scared me the most about a guy like Zach Wilson is when he had time, he was worse. That's a bad sign.
Yeah.
When you see a quarterback in a 5-step drop, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plant that foot and throw, even at the college level, that's a completion 95% of the time on a first read. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, and just his teammates come out in Mike White shirts, and the offense looking so good with Mike White. Garrett Wilson looking amazing out there. It's bad times for Zach Wilson truthers, that's for sure. Maybe Zach Wilson does get piled on, but I feel like the amount of piling on that Justin Fields gets compared to Zach Wilson in a comparison of their play level is weird.
I think Zach Wilson, we're going off the rails here a little bit on a short time, but Zach Wilson has almost been written off. I saw Justin Fields in the QB index was up in the top 10. So some of the backlash he's getting at this point is like, hey, pump the brakes just a little bit. This is going a little too fast. The next big thing, Bailey Zappi. Oh, yay. He got found out quick. He had a good game. Everybody's always the reflex reaction on that is always, it's too extreme one way or the other.
Yep. I agree with you 100%. It is way too extreme. It's rough. But let's say hello to some people in here. I want to get back to the Dre'Mont Jones conversation before we do start to wrap things up. Richard Miles, morning, Nick and Scott. Good to see you. Eddie saying, go to New Zealand, Nick. It's a dream one day. Plan it, make it happen. I heard you like it to hike also. Obsessed. One of the most beautiful places on earth. I'm a native Texan. I'll never forget being there. That would be amazing. No doubt about that. We got Nigel Watts coming in saying hi from Perth, Australia. Broncos fan since the early 90s when I played for the Perth Broncos. Did have an actual Broncos training jersey, but someone stole it. Bummer. God, that sucks. Sorry to hear that. About this week's game, I'm very worried we may not score and hit a new low. I think that the Broncos will probably score in this game. I think that's a more safe bet because they're going to have to be tossing it around the yard. Granted, it could very much turn into a Broncos versus Panthers game where you are down early and your offense looks horrible because your drop back pass game is trash and a half. But it is what it is. We got Greg Smith coming in. Nick, Iowa's -1 versus Kansas City in the Music Bowl. Is it a safe bet? This is going to be one of the lowest unders in a bowl game of all time. Iowa and Kentucky already had very poor offenses. Iowa's first and second string quarterback are out. Kentucky's first string quarterback, Will Levis, is out. First team to 14 points. Game winner.
Can't wait to tune into that one.
I'm going to be. I'm a sicko. Like they say, that's what we want. We got Quentin coming in. Good morning, gentlemen. Good to see you. We also got our guy, Yudin, coming in saying this upcoming game is going to be the biggest embarrassment. I don't think it's going to be the biggest embarrassment. We've already been there. It would have been the biggest embarrassment if it was on Sunday Night Football. Luckily, it's going to be, teamed away. I don't think we're going to have as many people watching this one. And KB82 coming in saying, morning, fellas. Who would you consider a legit underrated free agent this offseason? Kind of like Quan Williams. There's only 2 names, I guess 3 names that come to mind for me as far as underrated free agent. One of them is Cameron Fleming. He's done a serviceable job at right tackle despite being picked up like pretty close to right before the season when it was pretty obvious that Turner and Compton weren't going to be ready. And he's done serviceable. He's not 100% right now. I have that on very good authority. And he was really not feeling great versus the Raiders when he was going up against Max Crosby. So he's been fine. I would bring him back. I'd be happy to bring him back for, 2 years, $6 million or something like that. But what about Quan Williams is obviously another one. And then Scott probably will get this one as well. But Alex Singleton has played great. You paid him just to be a depth kind of special teamer, and he's been great.
And I think Kenny's asking about other players, other teams, and I don't know everybody else's list well enough on there, but just I went and looked through the PFF's top 5 at every position and looked at edge, and Yannick Ngakoue wasn't even mentioned among the honorable mentions as in a top 8 or 9. He just put his name on the list of at least 8 sacks in the first 7 seasons with Reggie White, Derek Thomas, DeMarcus Ware, and there was one more interior lineman that was another Hall of Famer that I can't remember off the top of my head, but he was one of those 5 guys. I'm like, now he's been more steady. He doesn't have that uber 20 sack type guy, but you pencil him in, you're getting 10 sacks and he's decent against the run, coming off about $10 million, I think. That's an underrated free agent in my book.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say he's decent against the run from when I've watched him and evaluated him, but he
ain't Malik Reed is what I'm saying.
No.
Who's getting 8 sacks and can't is getting traded for by a 4th round pick. 6th round pick.
7th.
6th round pick.
Yes, but we sent a 7th too. So it's like the value of a higher 7th. Jeremy Sean, morning guys. Thought I was going crazy this morning. Jeremy, we appreciate you coming in. No reason to go crazy. And KB82 saying, I heard Russell just entered the transfer portal. Man, that would be something. This transfer portal stuff is wild. Not to go too far down. This maybe kind of pertains to the Broncos, but Jordan Palmer and Kyle Allen, 2 former NFL quarterbacks, guys who do a lot of quarterback training, did a podcast yesterday with new Iowa Hawkeye quarterback Cade McNamara. First off, Michigan doesn't give out like hardly any NIL money. It sounds like Jim Harbaugh is very much not about that, which to me, that's the new era of college football. I'm curious if Jim Harbaugh makes the jump because of this transfer portal NIL stuff.
And that's what I said. Why would he make this move? He's got Michigan rolling because college football has turned into a big pain in the hiney for a head coach. It is so much. And I corrected myself because I said it's so much more work as a college football head coach. No. Those guys work tirelessly. They're obsessive, 18-hour days minimum head coaches in the NFL on coaching. They work on football all that time. So much of a head coach's position in college is not on coaching football.
It's campaigning.
They want to go somewhere else so they can coach football. They basically want to be coordinators. The mad scientist types who have no personal skills, like this guy, they end up being good coordinators. You saw him. Vic Fangio is one of those guys. He doesn't want to deal with the press. He doesn't want to deal with anybody. He wants to coach football. That's why an $11 million a year of the number 2 team in the country, who's still relatively young, might want to move back into the NFL.
Yeah, the other big information there in that interview, which was concerning and maybe was a red flag for me about bringing Jim Harbaugh. I don't know how much is him versus the Michigan training staff, but Cade McNamara tore his patella tendon last season, and it was pretty obvious in the MRI scans, and Michigan didn't tell him, and they put him back out there with a torn patella tendon. Also this season, he had to have a really serious surgery. There was even discussion of having to put a cadaver ligament in his knee. And Michigan, he got a second opinion on that one, flew out to LA to get a second opinion. Michigan was going to have him ready to practice and get back out there, even though it was a clearly torn ligament in his knee. And there's also a really good tight end from Michigan that has also had some issues with the training staff at Michigan, which is like that. I don't know how much of that is connected to Harbaugh directly versus the guys Michigan has hired, but concerning, no doubt.
Sorry if this offends you, but if you are against player compensation at the NCAA level, you are unbelievably selfish.
Yep. Just hearing that stuff is unbelievable, right? They're trying to squeeze every bit of value out of those guys and then discard them. The DWI guys coming in, 25 pounds. Appreciate you saying if the Broncos can attempt to contain Kelsey, it's Kelsey. That's for some reason it looked weird. They have a chance, but yes, the offense still has to score, which I'm not sure they will. The ceiling seems to be 10 points. Yeah, this is a tough matchup for the Broncos. I think they're going to do a good job of limiting Kelsey in terms of explosive plays, but I'm worried about the volume of catches. I think he's going to be very efficient in this one. I will say the explosive plays, I feel pretty good about the tackling and being in position of the linebackers Singleton and Jewell. If he gets to the second level and he has a one-on-one or a tackle isolation situation with Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson, heart's beating a little bit fast. That's not a good one.
Contain is right. If you can limit him to a lot of less run after the catch, 7 yards here and there. The question is he getting those 7 yards on 3rd and 6, 7 or 8 times, extending drives? But yeah, limit him. It's tough. I mean, they're big home underdogs for a reason. But again, a big home underdog in NFL is 10 points. We're not talking like 50 points like we see in college. And every once in a while, those upsets happen. So yes, it could happen. It's highly improbable, of course, but it could. If this defense shows up to play, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If this defense shows up to play, they'll be in every game. Then you just need a couple breaks coming your way.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen. Jeremy said he didn't even see the confetti on Nick's screen. That was just a lonely piece of cat hair floating around. Too many pets, too much hair, especially the long-haired dog and cat. But guys, we are at 8 o'clock, and Scott and I think it happened at all. This is on me, but I'm glad that we still got 134 people in here. We're going to get the podcast out as well, and we got to give our final prediction. But just going to start to wrap it on up. So if you have any questions or super chats, Christmas time, maybe send Nick to New Zealand. Hashtag God bless you. Then get on in. But Scott, I want your final score prediction on this one. I think the line has jumped to 9, is 8.5, 9. Keeps climbing.
27-6.
27.
Couple of field goals. Can you go 2 straight games without getting into the red zone? That'd be unbelievable. I mean, you didn't even get into the red zone, let alone score a touchdown. You didn't even get into the red zone last week against the Ravens. It's not quite as bad a matchup, I don't think, as an AFC North team who's playing well, because they want to beat you up, and the Broncos are soft. Yes, I said it. They're soft. They've been soft for 2 years that I've been watching. This is a better matchup, a little more skill, a little more flair, but they're better skill and better flair, and they have Patrick Mahomes instead of Tyler Huntley.
Yeah. This is a rough one, I will say. So the Broncos have played the Chiefs pretty well compared to other teams. The Chiefs offense pretty well compared to other teams. I think pretty consistently the Broncos points per game have been significantly lower than Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs average over the time that Patrick Mahomes has been the starting quarterback, especially when the Broncos had Vic Fangio. I'm curious if that trend continues, because the Broncos do a lot of things differently up front, and that includes blitzing. But under Vic Fangio, there's a team that wanted to send 4 people, and you wouldn't dare say that to a player.
Yes, I would. I just wouldn't say it to a specific player saying you are soft. And when you say that, someone say, listen, I'd like to see you throw your head in there a little bit more. You never speak in recruiting world. You never spoke in the negative. You always spoke in the what needs to be better and the positive. He's not soft. I want to see him get tougher. He's not slow. I just like to see him a step quicker. He's not too short. Maybe he's got a growth spurt in him. So yes, I would, Bruce. If I'm willing to say it on here, I'll say it to anybody. I'm accountable for everything I say to anyone I say, and I've been conducting myself like that for 20 years.
Yeah. And I will say that I'm soft. I'm sitting under here in a blanket in my basement with a little sweater. I'm like, ooh, I'm chilly. I could use my coffee now. But I think, so getting back to the point here about how the defense is built, Vic Fangio, they like to send 4 guys, play cover 4, cover 6, some cover 3 with 2 deep safety looks. But the point being, they did not like to blitz. Is your Evero I don't know what it is. Blitzing is such a buzzword. Oh, we love it when you blitz. The people just like the aggression, even though it can give up explosive plays sometimes. But Giro Evero loves to blitz. Patrick Mahomes is like the best quarterback in the history of the NFL against the blitz in terms of EPA. It's unbelievable how good he is against the blitz. So that to me says this one could be, unfortunately, uglier than what we've seen in the past. Broncos defense, they're good. How they play, I'm a little bit concerned about how that matches up with the Chiefs.
Like they did last year. Slow it down and limit the possessions. It's like, okay, if he's good against the blitz, that means big plays. We won't get the big plays, so you'll just have to go on 15-play drives to score your touchdown. So it could keep the scoring down like it has in the past. And then, what did the Bengals do? Well, the Bengals had an incredible front 4, and they were getting pressure with 3 guys.
They're using 3 guys.
They're dropping 8 into coverage and getting pressure with 3 guys. Man, what a mastermind defensive play. Dude, if I can get the pressure with 3 defensive linemen and drop 8 into coverage, I'm going to be the guy too. That's real easy.
Yeah, so that's the opposite of what the Broncos have done this season. Sending guys, they send less and played more contain on that, keeping Patrick Mahomes have to stay in rhythm and make. He just would get rid of it before pressure would even get there because the clock would be going off in his head. Like, okay, this is too long. I can't just stand back here. So I'm worried about that matchup for the Broncos, and they're just so hurt. So I got the Broncos losing this one, 24-13. I think that's an okay
Pretty
output.
close. You have an
I think
extra.
it's good.
You have a garbage touchdown in there.
Yep, I think it's going to be the Broncos are going to be down a lot pretty early, and then the Chiefs are going to kind of put it, cruise it on home, put it into low gear, and the Broncos score one, but it's pretty well at hand at that point, and a touchdown to make us all feel a little better. But yeah, this is a rough one. I hope the Broncos win, but I do not see it coming. You got Ethan coming in. There we go. I knew if I teased you guys enough, we'd get another super chat coming in. Or Ethan double dipping, 50 pounds coming in this time, saying, "Great show, gents in Broncos country. Have a great weekend." Thank you so much, Ethan. You have a great weekend too. And I hope everyone's enjoying all the holiday stuff coming up here. It's always a good time of year.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Of course, checking in this morning, let you know when we were live. I give Nick crap, but it's because Nick's so good. He deserves a little crap every once in a while. Like I said, it's one of the he gets up at 6 a.m. Well, he gets up earlier to be ready for 6 a.m. on this show. So it's that he's here every 3 days a week for us is very good for him. I want to hit Lou real quick because Lou's kind of saying what I've said. Can you win? Yeah, you can. Appreciate you coming in, Lou. He says maybe we get a game where all the breaks go our way, given the number of fumbles that have bounced the wrong way and the calls that have gone against us. If you can't be lucky, be good, be lucky. I posted something similar to this watching Georgia and LSU. I'd rather be lucky than good. My dad always said, I want to be good and lucky. That's what I saw watching the Georgia Bulldogs. They were good and they were lucky, and they blew out LSU in that game. So be good and lucky. And you're right. You could have some of these, the strip sacks, the forced fumbles that all went the wrong direction in the first half of the season to help contribute to where you are now. It's been a lot of, here I am making the case for Nathaniel Hackett deserves another shot because Melvin Gordon fumbles, because Javonte Williams fumbles and then gets hurt, because your left tackle's out, who I said was the most irreplaceable player on the team, because Tim Patrick went out early, all these things. No, all of those things mean something at the top has to change. So yeah, but be good and lucky, Lou. Appreciate you coming in.
You are definitely right about Georgia being good and lucky. The blocked punt and then nobody knowing what the hell's going on. Block kick, excuse me. The interception off of the LSU player's helmet. I mean, just like it was.
That's when I posted it. It was on there. Be good and lucky. And that was right after they had just blocked a field goal that nobody covered. And they're like, you know what?
We're just gonna run
this up and run it back.
Yeah, they would have won anyway. But yeah, you're 100% right. So guys, thank you so much for joining us. Again, that's on me for being late, but appreciate Scott for being able to jump on in here. I was about to go live myself and just talk a little bit of Chiefs and Broncos and answer the questions. And that's my one purse every 6 months where it's like, oh my God, phone didn't go off. So we'll call it that. Maybe one every 4 months, but we appreciate the heck out of you guys. Have a good one. Make sure you're following Scott and I on Twitter. Scott is at Scout Kennedy. I am at Nick Kendell MHH. Also follow us at BFB_pod and at Mile High Huddle. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you're joining our Facebook group at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. And of course, as the ticker says there underneath, please subscribe, like, and share. We will see you guys again on Monday morning to recap that Broncos game. And hey, maybe they win. Maybe we'll be, bouncing off the walls because the Broncos had everything came together and Russell Wilson's back and the defense is great. And we're going to close out and win every game to end the season. We can still live in that world right now.
It's the time of hope. It is Christmas season.
Absolutely. Do you believe in miracles? Appreciate you guys so much. Continue to choose compassion and kindness. Have a good rest of your day. Go Broncos.